My name is Rachel, and I'm 32 years old, and my husband George is 33 years old. We have always had a happy-go-lucky marriage, that is, until his parents decided to ruin everything. His parents, Helena and Dave, lived fairly closely to our house, but they always insisted on coming to our home to visit, which wasn't a bother at all until my in-laws would come to our house all the time. When I mean all the time, I mean we eat dinner with them 5 to 7 times a week. And sometimes they come early enough to eat lunch with us. I can't escape them. Dave doesn't think it's a problem. He went as far as to give his mom a key to our house. So, when I come home from work, I see them sitting in our living room, using our TV and eating all our snacks. They tended to eat all of our food, and because of that, I had to buy a surplus of groceries, which I tell you, I don't mind it, but the problem is Helena constantly criticizes my cooking. I got so fed up that I said, "Well, why don't George and I come over to your house and you can show us how it's done?" I said it playfully, not to start an argument. "No way, the house is a mess." "It's always a mess." I couldn't help but add, there was always an excuse for us not to come over.
Honey, ease up.
"Well, I'm sorry. What else could I say?"
How about Helena just makes the food here? It will help ease the stress when you get home from work.
I couldn't help but smile. He was at least trying. Sure, why not? Helena knew her way around the kitchen, but the cleaning part was far from her mind. It took George and me 2 hours to clean up his mother's disarray when they went home after. I should be happy that his parents are still well and moving around. My parents unfortunately passed away when I was young, so maybe I was being a little harsh on them. But my attitude quickly changed the following day. The in-laws were over as usual. They were lounging in our living room talking about George. I was in the office, trying to buy baseball tickets as the season was approaching. George was a massive fan of the sport. I didn't care much for it, but hey, he loves it, so I do too. "Hey, could you show me where the salt shaker is again? I can't find it." Helena wanted to cook us dinner again. It should be where it always is, the cupboard close to the oven." "I can't find it." I got up from my seat and headed towards the den that was connected to our kitchen. Helena called back, "When you find it, please just put it on the kitchen table. I have to use the restroom real quick." As I said, the salt shaker was where I had last put it. I shook my head in dismay. Helena entered back into the kitchen, mumbling thank you. I grabbed a cup of water, drinking it while briefly listening in on my husband's conversation with his dad before stepping back into my office. I proceeded to buy the tickets, aimlessly trying to grasp the debit card I had left on my desk. That's odd. It was no longer there. I checked under my desk, behind the computer, and all around the floor. I began to panic. I walked briskly out of the office and asked my husband, "Babe, have you seen my debit card anywhere?"
No, how would I know where it's at?
"I left it on the office desk to buy our tickets for the baseball game." "No, honey, you left it in the dining room when you grabbed water, but don't worry, I found it." She handed me back the card. That's so odd." "What's odd?" "I didn't bring my card into the dining room." "You must be silly. Why else would it be in here? Remember, you went to find the salt for me?" "Oh no, you must be losing your memory quicker than I am. Goodness." She teased. "I may have bought it in here, but why?" I soon forgot about the incident because it didn't matter really. I thought Helena was right. My husband and I went to the baseball game. So far, we have been having a fun day. Finally, we were able to be with ourselves without the in laws. We got a bit hungry during the game, so we decided to grab some snacks at the concession stand. My husband reached for his wallet and proceeded to search for his cash.
Oh, that's strange.
What's wrong?
I set aside cash for the game specifically, but it's gone.
How much money?
About $40 to $60?
I didn't understand how it could go missing. We concluded that someone must have slipped the cash out of my husband's wallet when he wasn't looking while we were watching the game, or that it slipped out. Either possibility wasn't that believable, but who else could we blame? He paid with his debit card and we ate our food while watching the game. It was 7 o'clock when it ended, and we both were so tired. I couldn't wait to lay down in bed and get some sleep. Boy, was my plan ruined. As we entered our house, I got a whiff of smell coming from our kitchen. When I looked to the right, where the living room was, my father-in-law and mother-in-law sat and talked amongst themselves. What were they doing here? Hi, guys. Hi. I glared at George, who was staring in shock at the appearance of his parents.
Oh, what are you guys doing here? We told you we'll be out late at the baseball game. We thought it would be an excellent idea to make dinner for you two again.
You could have hosted at your house. We weren't expecting guests. Guests? We're family. I didn't think we had to announce it we came to visit. Why not? This is our home. I think it's rude to come whenever it pleases you.
Honey, no, it's fine.
Wow, you showed your true colors. Come on, Dave. Help me pack the food and we'll be on our way.
Mom, Dad, it's okay. Rachel's just a grumpy mood from staying out all day. Please stay.
I bit my tongue hard to contain my anger. I couldn't believe he was letting them off the hook. There has to be some boundaries that should be consistently met. No, it's okay. We'll leave. She packed up everything, but of course she didn't bother to clean the dishes or the kitchen. She even left the oven on. That night, George and I had a huge argument. Why can't you get it, George? They're constantly crossing boundaries and then trying to make us feel bad.
They're my parents. What do you want me to do? I'm their only child. I wouldn't expect you to understand.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing.
No, say it. Say that I wouldn't understand because I don't have parents. Say it. We were arguing up until 3 a.m., and our conversations went unresolved until the next night. Apparently, he told his parents they should give me space for the next day. His mother wasn't happy. George took me on a fancy dinner date as a way to say sorry, and for the most part, we were having fun. He was about to pay for our meal when I shooed his hand away. He paid for our snacks and drinks yesterday, and let me tell you, at a baseball game, food is not cheap. I put my credit card into the checkbook. My husband continued to apologize for what he said about my parents. I accepted it. He didn't say anything, it was what he was inferring about. The waiter returned with a grave face and looked at me and my husband.
Your card was declined.
What? Impossible. I hadn't used my credit card since buying the baseball tickets.
I tried the card 3 times. It's not going through. I will need another form of payment.
I looked back at my husband, his face puzzled. George ended up paying for our meal. We went straight home, where I checked my bank statements on the card. I couldn't believe my eyes. Someone was ordering living room furnitures on my card. I was over my credit limit. I had to cancel my card and everything. The unfortunate part was we couldn't track down who took my information. I was left stunned.
It happens, honey. Don't worry. They're mailing you a new card in a few days.
Yeah, I know, but it's still annoying.
I know. Do you want some dessert to make yourself feel better?
Well, of course. George went to our fridge and pulled out the freezer drawer.
Did you eat all the ice cream already?
No. Why?
It's gone.
I just saw the container this morning.
It's not here.
And then it clicked. His parents came over to our house. I got up from the couch and headed straight into the kitchen. I checked out the fridge, and lo and behold, the chicken I was defowing for tomorrow was gone, along with the salad spring mix. This is unacceptable, George. Your parents are crossing the line.
Not this again.
Why are they stealing all of our food then? He finally relented. His parents were becoming a little too much for him as well. We decided to change our locks. Again, his mother was not happy, but George was getting fed up. After a week, I began to worry about my credit card. It still hadn't come in the mail. I waited a few extra days just in case if there was a delay. After the next 7 days, there were still no signs of it. I called my bank, and what they told me was shocking. The new card was activated a few days ago. I got a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach. Someone must have gone through our mailbox and stolen my credit card. But it didn't make sense. I always pick up the mail in the morning, and the person would have to know my social security number. George found me crying in our bedroom. I didn't understand why this was happening to me, to us. The next day, I decided to go to my bank in person to pick up another card, and luckily, I wasn't technically getting charged, but still, it felt like someone was stalking us, watching our every moment and taking our money. On my way home, I decided on a whim to go to my in-laws' house. I texted George to meet me at their house after work. This way, we could have dinner at their home and they wouldn't steal our food. And since they always decided to come unannounced, I thought it was best to do the same. I knocked on their door and waited a few seconds before someone opened the door, but it wasn't Helen or Dave. Instead, I met with a girl in her late teens. Hello, is Helen or Dave home? No. My parents' names are Shelby and Kenny. That can't be right. My in-laws have been living in this house for over 2 decades. Well, I guess not anymore. We moved here last fall. That was when my in-laws started coming to our house. What's going on? I left in such a rush, already pulling out my phone to dial George's number, but I stopped before pressing the call. Helena and Dave were lying to us for a reason, but why? I knew I should have told my husband about this discovery. I felt my in-laws were lying about more than just their living arrangements, and if I told George, they would continue their web of lies. I needed evidence and definitive proof. That evening, Dave and Helena came over for dinner. I tried to keep my cool and display affection I hadn't mastered in a while. After the meal, George and his parents sat in the living room drinking and watching a football game. While I was cleaning up the kitchen, I decided to do some snooping inside Helena's purse that was left in the dining room. I grabbed her wallet and hurried into my office. The football game would be on for another hour or so I had time. I looked at Helena's wallet to find her address. Lo and behold, it was not where I previously believed it to be. Instead, it was marked at an apartment building that's not in the best part of town. I felt terrible. Helena and her husband must be embarrassed about the whole thing. They must be short on money. However, my pity for them did not last long. As I was putting her ID back into her wallet, I decided to do more snooping. It raised more suspicions, and I was unfortunately right. I found my credit card that was supposed to be shipped to me in her money compartment. I found receipts from the furniture store and clothes. She was mooching off of us right under our noses. I began taking pictures of everything to ensure I had physical evidence for George. I put everything back the way I found it. I wanted to discuss this with my husband without them here, just in case they decided to backtrack. But it only got worse. When I stuck her wallet back into her purse, I found a slip of paper sticking out that I hadn't noticed before. I pulled it out, and to my horror, I noticed the numbers. That was my old credit card number, and below that was the amount of money they were taking from our house, such as things they were stealing, stuffs we hadn't noticed, such as aimless blankets, vases we have stuck in the cabinets. And worse, George's bank information. What were they going to do with it? I quickly snapped as many photos as possible before anyone noticed. It was one thing to need help with money, and it's another to be stealing from your own family and making your daughter in law look crazy because she wants to set boundaries. I knew what I needed to do, and it wouldn't be nice or pretty. Next week was going to be my in law's 30th anniversary, and their entire family was going to band together and come to our house. Aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, and distant cousins would be making their guest appearances. Like a dutiful wife, I prepared all the meals without complaint and with so much pep in my step. But that was all going to change. When everyone was sitting down, I decided it was best to make a toast. "Excuse me, everyone. Can I have your attention, please?" "Of course, sweet girl." George's Aunt Chrissy was always my favorite. I compiled a fantastic video highlighting Helena and Dave's love story, and I thought, what better way to share the love than to share it with you? Helena and Dave looked bewildered, yet smiley they were. I played the TV, sitting quickly down next to George.
What's this all for?
"Just watch." I stayed up all night for this one. At the beginning of the video, I compiled a collage of short clips and pictures of the ever so lovely couple. I decided to do a cheeky voiceover as well during the video. "You've got to love my in-laws. Helena makes the best food, and you cannot forget Dave's sense of humor. Together they make great in-laws and even better parents." After the cute couple's pictures, the screen flashes to my credit card that was found in Helena's bag, along with her ID in the background. "There's just one problem. Helena and Dave said it was a good idea to steal my credit card and have my husband's bank account information." The next photo is George's information, blurred out, of course, except for his name. Also in the picture were the receipts from the furniture. Everyone was too stunned to speak, especially my in-laws.
What is this?
"Just relax." I don't know why my in-laws would resort to crime, but my only guess is it's because they lost their house and decided to live off mine and their son right under our nose. The video ended after that.
Tell me it's not true. Son, we're sorry.
"What we did was wrong. But Rachel, this is so cruel of you in front of our entire family." She began to sob. Her sister, that was sitting next to her, began to pat her back. George was not happy with me. He said I had embarrassed him in front of the family, stating if I really cared about his parents and him, I should have spoken to them about it privately. What he seems to forget is how soft he is to his parents. He continuously excuses their behavior, and I was afraid it would only continue. Hell, he only started to care when they ate his ice cream. His attitude changed when he went over to his parents' real house. On the outside, it was a small apartment, but inside there was nice furniture, lamplights, and a brand new flat-screen TV. They were leeching off their son by stealing physical cash under George's nose. He always carries money on him. And the fiasco. We moved out of state, away from his parents. George hasn't spoken to them in over 3 years. It's unfortunate, but at least we have extra money in our pockets now.